Hello and welcome back to Songs of SYX, to our beautiful Bugtopian city here. Finally, we're back. I know I've been taking quite some time off in between these episodes, and I hope you'll bear with me when I do that. There may be a pickup or a slowdown at any point in this series. Wow, we have a lot of sick people. 18 people are infected. So we might need to start fixing that problem, but mainly we've got to work on our food situation. We have very little food. Now that we've got our metal coming in, we've got some furniture and cut stone. Seems like I'm making some pottery as well, a little bit of clothing, kind of all of the basic trades. And I've read a little bit of the notes. I kind of watched some of Jake's video. I've been caught up in a couple other games, some of which that are really good sales on Steam, and I've just been playing tons of Barotrauma, other games like that. So expect some of that stuff in the future. But anyways, what we gotta do is make some Balti crawler pastures or breeders. They're not pastures, they're breeding stations. If I go to one right now, it should be Balti crawler breeder here. And we're going to place some of them in here. Before I do that, though, I'm going to have to keep expanding that. So I'll probably place in like another good, a nice fishery here. We're just going to place this down. Kind of how I do it is draw the shape, like so. And then I just remove chunks, like this. And then whatever else in between is fine for me. So we don't need a ton of storage, and actually, based on the size of this, we could probably get away with something like this. Right in here, middling size. Doesn't have to be too big. 194 woods, not too excessive, and then remove the excess bit here, so that you get that space, that's available space for you to live in. All right. And then we will draw a road. So I've been using line roads, and the kind of way I do it is I just draw it like this, and then if I have a thicker road, I'll put a double like that, so it actually looks good, and it's not just like single square tiles. And these guys will get to doing that. In the meantime, let's cut down every single tree in this entire area. Saying I have -8 workforce. I think that's because we're training 124 people, yes. So I'm gonna get to it, and I'll see you guys in a minute. It looks like Jake has been pretty devious in the fact that he has given us a slave trader option with 26 cantors at 500 credits per cantor. And they're claiming that they're juvenile cantors. Now, if you know anything about the SYX lore, you'll know that these guys can't be juveniles. So this is obviously a scam. So there seems to be that there might be some scams coming along too. Yeah, we have declined. We'll never know if he did perchance have some actual real baby cantors, but I'm willing to bet firmly that there are none. There never have been, and there never will be any juvenile cantors. If you know anything about the lore, of course, they are basically like mythical people. So, I just thought that was a little funny tidbit right there. Alright, here we are. We are back. We are back. And there is so much to go over. One thing I want to remember is actually go ahead and turn off all of these breads here. There is a lot to go over, and I'm going to start with the thing that I had said at the beginning. And I know there's going to be a little bit of editing in between here and there, trying to show you guys what I've been doing. Just a little bit of flair, a little bit of fun. You know, I find that now that I'm hitting almost 2,000 subscribers, I want to really make some good, memorable videos for you guys. So here we are. We are in the gulp of it. It is so hard right now. I can't even describe to you guys. Jake, he does work, he really does, but then he also does a lot of negative work. And I don't say this as a diss against Jake, but there's so much that would make a new player quit this game. And I say that with all humbleness. People will say, get good, skill issue, all these types of things. That's not the case for this game. There is a lot of stuff. I've had to quick save and save scum this entire time. As it is a beta, I am aware that it doesn't matter, really, so I'm just going to keep doing that. Some people might not like that, but there's a case to be made that there's a lot of things that I don't even know that are coming. For example, raiders actually raided our town of Woodrick here. Instead of attacking me, Bugtopia, my capital, they actually raided Woodrick and they captured it. And so now you actually have to focus on having a guard post here with a little bit of a garrison. So we've got 798 defense, total of 50 guys in the garrison though. So you can see there's 50 decently trained with melee training and archery training, but they are not going to stand up if somebody actually attacks us. So in order to actually alleviate those problems, we have our army here, and we're going to have to create a conscript army. So I've been trying to get food situated, which we had started this episode thinking about, and I did get these Baltic crawler breeders going. And the Baltic crawler breeders are supplying us with quite a bit of food, but it's all primarily going to our babies, the babies that are being born, our Thimi babies. Speaking of which, I probably should turn back on this other side here. He fixed this, so a lot of it seems to work, but then again, I turned this off at limit 0 here, and they're still coming in as infants and children. I don't know. I really don't know, but at least you get names and you can tell how many days they are and etc. So there's that. There's a lot of these types of little things, and like guard posts, for example, they're extremely small radius. So I think the biggest issue here is that a veteran like me can really finagle using his old knowledge, but the newer players are going to have their own meta, their own schemes, the way they're going to have to run things. I think that a smaller city in a temperate zone is your ideal. That is the best place you're possibly going to get. You're not going to find a lot of help in these regions where I'm at. Like, I'm in a desert region on a coastal... Oh, wrong. I keep clicking that too. It's really annoying that he moved those around as well. A lot of these things that moved around feel like they moved around for no reason, and the symbols don't really tell me anything, although you hover over them and it tells you. But it is kind of annoying, because I constantly go over here to click to actually go to the world map where it was, and now it's not there. We have to click a different part. And maybe I'm crazy, but I'm pretty sure my muscle memory brings me straight back there. So we have our little coastal region here, though, and there's not much to go off of, but there is the case to be made that regions now have a much larger population cap, but it's just offset by the fact that you're constantly getting raided. I currently have 5 raiders, and I think this is my biggest problem with V.67 as a whole. And some people may disagree with me. If I was playing as Tilapi or humans or someone else, I may have a different feeling overall. But let's look at Salik and Lecter here, who's raided us about a dozen times. Yeah, he's only got 10 Dundarians here. They've got, what, 100 archery training. That's fine, yeah. Oh, then the boys next to him, 10 humans with 100 melee training and 33% experience. And full equipment, by the way. Then their boys next to him with the same full training, full experience, or half experience. And these guys would fucking decimate hundreds of men. I could send all 400 of my troops at them, and I'm quite positive that my 400 guys will die. And if they don't die, they'll be really hurt afterwards. So there's this big issue where I can't really beat them back, and you can see that the main reason for that is that this little like 5 skull marker here, which really doesn't tell me much. This is how many raiders are in the region. I guess there's no raiders in this region, but they really are chilling around Bugtopia because I cannot beat them back, and I pay them off because it's cheaper to pay them the 40 or whatever. I think it gets rid of the raid options of what they asked for, but they really are only asking for a couple hundred food or a couple hundred whatever, some stone or something like that. Nothing too extravagant. So to fight them and get your ass stomped on and them actually come into your capital and raid it and rip all your shit up and do all this terrible stuff, a new player would absolutely have a terrible time. And it took me at least 2 times to realize that they're just gonna do that. And like I said, definitely could be a skill issue. I know if I sent 400 at them, they'll probably win at the end. I think that I could probably pull it out, especially with my heavily trained boys. But I have no equipment, and I have no experience for that. I don't have much time to actually fight people because they're all extremely high trained and well-equipped guys. So I can't like build up. I did fight some raiders, or actually I did fight my neighbor Udric here, and I did beat him, and you can see the video of me encircling him. And even then, at 143 of the Crotonians who had barely any training, they held up pretty well. So there's that. I think a lot of players are going to have a lot of difficult times trying to get past that, and as there's really no difficulty curve, it seems like Jake has thrown a lot of this stuff at what would be mid-game here, where we are at. So anywhere between 250 to 700 to 1,000. And it can be quite brutal. At some points, we also have literally $163,000. So money is no issue. Money can easily be made. A lot of my neighbors are literally purchasing things for extremely high profits. Pew has dropped down to 150, but for a while he was actually purchasing it for about 500. I may have flooded the market, but I do have a lot of these set to sell over like 20 or 50% of their stock. So we have that going. But let's continue along and see what we've got going here, because as we've got our multicrawler breeders, they all connect up to this main line with the coal. We got to remove the iron mine, but I actually might put the iron mine back in just so that I could get opiates and other things being produced on the world map, because Udric here is going to be producing things at a much higher rate. So for example, if I don't want to actually have a farm of opiates, it'd be smarter to have this opiate farm, and I'll get so many more opiates than I ever could possibly need, and that way we could easily start to deal with our health situation, which is a big concern of mine. There seems to be a huge amount of people always dying, always getting unhealthy, always getting sick. Our population size seems to have a bit to do with it, but between the wells, the lavatories, the bathhouses, and our climate, we still have about 36 people sick out of 756. That means those are 36 people who are not doing anything. Then we also have exposure. Exposure is another huge issue now. So if these people are out here in the middle of the desert, which is fair, I don't think this is a problem. They will start to die from exposure very quickly. So this person here, they're dying from exposure. So how do I alleviate all of these problems? How have I started to solve every issue that I've come across? Well, mainly I built moats, which are technically a pool, a form of... Jesus. Whiskey Bryant, what the heck happened to you, brother? Oh, he has the white shimmer. Oh my good God. So I guess that's a visual indicator of if they're actually like very sick. If your whole population's walking around looking like that, that is not a good thing at all. I've never seen that. That's a new one. So what do? We've got some pools or moats for the sake so that we can spread dread all throughout this area, and I removed the canal, which was technically making wood, to switch it over so that we can import wood. I import wood for about 45 or 50, but between all the things I sell, I'm making a lot of money, and I need to spend that money on something, so I decided that wood would be a good idea.
And this area is a hellish nightmare, even for me to understand what's going on. So if you're looking at it and you're like, what the heck did he even do here? It's on purpose. We are the bugs, the bugmen. And a lot of the roads seem to degrade pretty quickly. I need to get the technology for the degradation, but it starts at 1000 technology now, which is so expensive, and forced me basically to acknowledge the fact that we're going to have to take slaves. As Garthimi, there's no way that we're going to get through this without slaves. So we have a bunch of human slaves. As you can see, they're all living on this left side here. And then we have administration, some libraries, or laboratories, I should say. We should upgrade this one too. And throughout this area, we have our Garthimi guards and everything kind of protecting them from themselves and us. And then we have our carpenter, our paper maker, all of our different wood-based industries are kind of tucked in here. And there's 2 tiny carpenters, which I'll probably remove, as we've got this big one now. We don't need the 2 small ones. And we've got the paper maker, who's worked by primarily Dundarians. Mostly Dundarians work here, although I think a few might be Garthimis right now, because we have a huge labor shortage, mostly due to the fact that we're trying to train up our troops. We want to get them up to at least 60% melee training, so that they have over 1 on their offensive skill. And then if you look, they also have 3.2 on that morale, so they'll be a little bit higher morale, so they won't collapse mid-battle and just fall apart, losing you hundreds of guys, which stinks, big stinky. So as we continue down, nothing much has changed, except for I adjusted the fight pit, and I gave next to the fight pits are these nice big moats for people to kind of cool off. And as I have lots of people, I need to constantly cool them off, and it seems like they do kind of clean themselves over here, but I'm not quite sure if that's cooling them off in the ocean, so I have it over here anyways, just in case. It seems like that's the case, though, because a lot of them are dying from exposure over here all the time. And despite being next to the ocean, they still don't really get what they need. Can you... What does he have? This sir died from aging. Okay, that's good. So they get brought all the way up here to the main graveyard, which we're going to have to build another one because they're just filling it up so fast. And that was just so that I could get some happiness here. You can see this guy here is... Oh, no, never mind. I thought he was praying, but he's not. He's just being sick. Most of what I've done, though, is just kind of expanding the base goods. We obviously built this grain farm. We had some Kryptonians working it, but I had pulled them out and sold them. Matter of fact, I could probably get some more. I'll save that for the next one. So we just have about 8 Kryptonians, and I'll put a little house here for them. So their purpose is literally just grain farm. Make grain for us, because if we purchase grain, it's about 40 or 50 a pop for the grain. So things are very expensive to purchase and then very valuable to sell. Like I said, you're gonna want to make your own stuff and sell it to them. It's a lot smarter, and then import the raw resources. Just makes a lot better sense. And as you can see, we've got the baker here. They're currently using coal and the grain to make bread, which then gets put in here, and then the bread gets brought down to this ration maker, and we're making rations out of that. Why am I doing that? I have this import depot, of course, for the rations, but if you look, they're about 107 a pop. So it's a little bit cheaper for me to just make the bread here, and then put it in here, and then store it up, and then I could probably sell it for about 50 or so, but really, food is not worth selling in any capacity, because we always are going to want more and more food. So, as you can see, we've got our Garthimi breeder, too. These are hatcheries, sorry. These 2 guys are producing about, what, 32 each, so 64 total. Every other couple days, I have a new 64-man batch. And as they're constantly dying, it's quite alright. But I'm starting to hit that point where the age should start to, like, trickle in there. You can see it's going up, 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 up. You want to have, like, that steady stream of age, especially for Garthimis, because if you're importing all of your Garthimis and they're literally coming in at, like, 16, those immigrants will die, and then they cause a problem for your overall happiness and your overall, like, city's value. So I find that it's pretty smart to just get that going like that. Looks like he's even sick too. Are you sick? Why is he... Is there like a color thing? Or maybe it's the one underneath him there. No, he's sick with the vision fever. Maybe they just have like a visual indicator. Maybe it's not specifically that illness that made him that color. But regardless, I'm not quite sure I like it. I'm not quite sure I'm a big fan. As we go along, though, we've continued over and over and over, and this is the start of our new military zone here. Basically, some warehouse area for all of our military goods. Import depot for things like if I need. I'll probably start importing like small batches of armor and other things like weapons so that we can actually equip all of our guys. So, in fact, let's start doing that. And we'll set it so at no point do we spend over 1,000 here. I think. Minimum treasury. The minimum credits needed before... Oh, okay, so that's actually pretty good. So we'll do 10,000. And then we'll have that at 1,000. That's good. I like that. I didn't know that. So this could be your exorbitant. See, like I said, this is where Jake does great things. He's actually added so much great new stuff. Then a lot of other old things have changed and kind of been broken in between. And I hope that they get fixed. Or if not, I'll find a way to deal with them. But as it stands, so far, I'm having a really good time in 6-7. I have not had much to complain about other than the Raiders. I think the Raiders can be quite a challenge. But if you just submit to them, a lot of people are not going to like that idea, submitting and actually just paying up the bad guys. You're not invincible, and you're also not very strong. So it makes more sense to just pay them up. You know, get that power going, and then once you're powerful enough, fight them back. But beware that there's going to be all of your settlements, every settlement that you get, if you have 10 to 20 settlements and they're all unarmored and unprotected, they will start raiding you and turning your lands to rebel lands very quickly. And if you don't stop them, someone else might come in and take that, and then you'll have to declare war on them in order to actually retain your old territory. Not a good idea. Something that can be kind of costly in the long run. So things like Rovey Minin here, my neighbor, I've been trying to piss him off. I purposely will take bad deals and other things to fuck with him, so that eventually he might declare war on me, but he doesn't seem like he really wants to. I think it's because he knows he can't win. So in the next part, I'll probably have to capture him, and then I'll have to start making better alliances, better deals, and start to use the rest of my map space, because after that it's going to be very hard to take on our neighbors. Because if I look, Blazant here has an army of 4,000. Pew is our actually really good friend, but I could probably take him down. And then we have Opkunmend, or whatever you want to call them. These guys aren't too bad, but they're decently sized. And then Slippin'. So these groups are all pretty easily beaten, but this guy here, Blazant, is definitely the dude I want to be worried of, because he could send his army over here and instantly collapse my entire civilization. And that seems to be the recurring theme for this right now, is that one small single mistake you do, even prior, especially with the new events that can happen. Some of these events that can happen, where are they? Like, Good Catch is not a bad. You can see they're not as common, but like this one. There was a slave uprising, and it literally gave you a 0.5 to your submission. So all of my slaves got to 50% submission, basically one step away from collapse. And if you had that topped with like a bad drought and a couple other things, and then a raid at the same time, it could easily cripple you and send you into a spiral. So there's a lot of that stuff, and I'd recommend people don't play the Garthimi on a desert start here on a desert tile. Play them on like a temperate tile. They're really good on a mountain area, and especially in temperate zones, they do well. They're not bad at anything. They just aren't very good where I am. They're very challenging, but I've managed so far. I think it's just mainly because wood is such a big thing now, and you constantly need it for things. But you can see with our canals, we're not always cutting it down, and I'm spending a good portion of our money on it. So, irregardless, I appreciate y'all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. I look forward to the next one. I've got to make up a good plan for what's to come. There's a lot of stuff that I got to get done. And hopefully we don't get destroyed in the process. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.